To the fires in New Mexico, officials in 2 New Mexico counties issued mandatory evacuation orders this weekend as crews in the northern part of the state battled a large wildfire east of Santa Fe. It started as 2 separate fires last month, but then merged into one a few days ago. As of Sunday morning, it had burned more than 100,000 acres, that number, up from the 75,000 just a day earlier. More than 1,000 firefighters are on scene. The winds there are above 65 miles an hour and have made their job even more dangerous. So far, no deaths or injuries have been reported. Officials have been warning for weeks about wildfire conditions. Those warnings come earlier every year because of a mega drought across the American West. The entire region has been dealing with a shortage of water for more than 2 decades. For more on this, let's welcome Professor Thompson. He is the Robert E. Paradise Professor of Natural Resources Law at Stanford University. Professor, thank you so much for joining us. Officials in the greater Los Angeles area are taking an unprecedented step of declaring a water shortage emergency and limiting outdoor water usage to just 1 day a week, effective June 1st. Is this the right decision, and how will it impact people in the region?
Enrique, first of all, it's great to join you this morning. And it is the correct decision to make at this particular point in time. This is the most extreme drought response that Southern California has ever taken, but we're in an extreme situation at the moment. California, as is much of the western United States, is in the middle of a mega drought. And the easiest way to try to conserve water is to reduce outdoor use, which is exactly what the Metropolitan Water District has done.
What kind of impacts can we expect on people in the region, Professor?
What the Metropolitan Water District has ordered is that people limit the watering of their lawns to 1 day a week. That obviously is going to be harsh for a lot of people. Somebody who's just planted their lawn or replanted their lawn, somebody who takes real pride on their garden. It could very well be that over the course of the next several months, we're going to see a lot of dry lawns, a lot of dying lawns. At the same time, though, this is largely aesthetic. People will still be able to use the same amount of water inside their houses as they have in the past.
As you were explaining, this drought has taken decades in the making. Can we expect more of this in the future, more restrictions like this to become more common in a state like California?
We definitely expect restrictions like this in the future. With climate change, one of the things that we know is that we will see more droughts in California, and those droughts are going to be more extreme than they were in the past. As a result, people are going to have less water. Although this is a relatively extreme measure that the Metropolitan Water District has taken, the 6 million people who are only going to be able to water their lawns once a week are really not the people who are going to experience the worst aspect of this drought. The people I worry about are people in rural communities who might find that as a result of dropping groundwater levels, their wells dry up. I worry about farmers in the Central Valley of California who won't have the water necessary to grow their crops. And California has the largest agricultural sector in the nation. I worry about our hydroelectric plants that are going to be producing less power because of less water at a period of time when temperatures are warmer, and therefore we actually need more energy. And I worry about the wildfires that California is now seeing throughout the year.
And that's a great point. It seems that this water culture is unsustainable in the long run, so we're going to have to learn how to do things in a different way to make sure that tens of millions of people that live across the American West still have water in the future. How can we do that? How can we create a new water culture?
I think that as people experience drought, they will begin to change the way in which they do things. Every time we have a drought, people change their backyards. For example, I have torn out virtually all of the lawn at my particular house. And I've also installed a smart irrigation system that actually reduces the amount of water that's used by my garden and by the small amount of lawn that I still have. As people experience drought, they make those various changes. Sometimes they make them just to get through the drought, but then when the drought ends, they continue those practices.
I'm going to ask you to make a prediction, a scientific prediction. How long can the West support all those people if these drought conditions continue?
We actually have the ability to reduce our water use significantly. We not only can change our outdoor landscapes, but we can also change the amount of water that we use inside the house. We can put in new water-efficient appliances. And so we can actually continue to meet the needs of Californians, even with significant droughts. But people, as you point out, are going to have to adopt a new ethic.
Professor Boss Thompson, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.